Microsoft has introduced a dedicated format pane for charts in MS Excel Online, which contains many features allowing us to easily format and style charts. Today, we will explore all those features and discuss them one by one. So stay tuned, and if you have questions or feedback, don't forget to use the comment section. In MS Office 365 Web, we can create files and folders directly from the OneDrive using the Add New button. Alternatively, we can use the Create button in Microsoft 365 Web to create files as well, or use the Create New section. From the Create New section, we can click on a file to create one. We have now created a blank workbook. Let's open our website and copy some data from there to this workbook. Let's copy the daily sales and profit data from HTML table to our workbook. We will paste the data here, which may require some permissions first time. Click Allow to paste the data. We can delete the first column, which we don't need here. Let's rename this sheet as Sales and close all the unnecessary tabs. Select the entire table, and on the Insert menu, click on the Pivot Table button to create a pivot table. Change the name of this sheet to Report. Add Sales and Profit fields to the Values area. And add the Name field to the Rows area. Rename the Sales and Profit fields appropriately. Select the pivot table, and then insert a chart to your spreadsheet. Close the Pivot Chart Fields pane. In the Chart tab, click on the Format button. This is the new chart pane, introduced recently, to format and edit charts. You cannot make changes to a pivot chart using this pane. However, you can change its formatting in the Format section. To explore the chart pane completely, let's use a simple chart. Copy the data from Pivot Table and place it on another sheet as values. Now, select the data and insert the same chart here. Although this is the same chart, which you can verify by comparing both charts, but now you can access both format and the data sections of the chart pane. In the first field, you can select the source range for the chart. The second option allows you to switch between rows and columns. Here, you can tell Excel what to do with the hidden or empty cells. Here we can select data for horizontal axis. Data from A2 to A5 has already been selected, which are the names. We can also display more data, such as one of the fields from the table. However, before that, let's format the numbers in proper currency format. Back to the Format section of the chart pane, let's add the sales and profit fields to the horizontal axis as well. We can use these arrows to change the position of fields vertically. Let's keep the names at the top. If the names of fields disappear, changing their position back and forth makes them appear again. You can change the position of column values as well. In the Format section, you can change the title and its position. Let's change the title to Sales. You can display title above or inside the chart. Let's keep it above the chart. Here, we can also change the title's font size, and other properties. We can also hide or show the title using this toggle button. Removing the title will reset the title. Similarly, using this button, we can show or hide the legend. We can set the position of legend, using this drop-down list box. Just like the title, we can display the legend over, or inside the chart as well. Similarly, we can set the legend font, font size, and style. When we are done, we can collapse and hide the legend section. In the horizontal axis section, we can show or hide the axis. We can set the width of the bars, using this slider. Tick marks are the small marks on axis lines. By default, these are set to none. They can be set to inside, facing the bars. Outside, facing the axis titles. Or cross, where they face both inside and outside. Minor tick marks are the minor ticks between the major ones. These can also be set to inside, outside, and cross. By default, both major and minor tick marks are set to none. Now we have both of them set to cross. Next option allows us to display horizontal axis on the other side of the chart. Label position settings allow us to display axis labels on top of the chart, on the bottom of the chart, or next to the axis. Finally, there are font settings for the horizontal axis. We can also display and set the axis title. Let's set it to name. We can also change the font settings here. We can display or hide the major grid lines, using this toggle button. And also set the color of grid line. Similarly, we can display minor grid lines, and set their color as well. After we are finished, we can collapse this section. In vertical axis settings, you can display or hide the axis. You can change the minimum and maximum ranges of axis here as well. Unless you know what you are doing, the default settings are the best. Next, we can display axis on the other side, by selecting the reverse order. We can also display data in logarithmic scale. Minimum value allowed is 10. We can display horizontal axis position, using this drop-down list here. Label position of the vertical axis can be set using this drop-down list box. Numbers are formatted based on data selected, but we can change them as well. By default, this formatting is linked to the source, and unless you know better, the default settings are perfect. Finally, you can change the font settings of the vertical axis here. Axis title of the vertical axis can be set here. Let's change it to amount. Font settings of axis title can be changed here. We can display or hide major grid lines using this toggle button, and minor grid lines using this button here. Once we are done, we can collapse this section from here. In the series settings, we can set the name of the series. Choose fill and outline colors. Show or hide the data labels. When turned on, we can access other data label settings as well, like displaying series name, category name, value, and legend key. At least one item must be selected to keep the labels. Value is the default label. Legend key displays the bar or line color. You can also set the separator, which is comma by default, and the position of label. Finally, there are font settings, where you can set the size, color, and style of font. This toggle button enables the error bars. By default, it displays standard error. You can define your own fixed value for error bars. Let's enter a fixed value here, and see the result. You can also define a specific percentage for error bars. Percentage can be entered here. Standard deviation can also be used for error bars. You can also define the color of error bars here. The next option is trend line. To understand it better, we need a time series chart. Let's use the date-wise sales and profit to create a time series chart. The best chart for trend lines is a scatter chart. Let's create one using this data. Convert the dates into proper date format. Now, go to the sales series and draw a trend line. Unfortunately, trend line is very thin and difficult to see. There is no line width setting, but we can change color. You can choose red or yellow color or make the scatter chart dots lighter. You can choose one of many methods to draw trend line, such as linear, exponential, logarithmic, moving average, polynomial, and power. In many methods, you can forecast future data as well, like sales of 10 or 100 days ahead. Different methods will generate different results. Back to our original chart, the profit series has same options as sales series, so we can ignore this section. The final setting is for the data table, which we can enable or disable using this toggle button. We can enable or disable table borders using these check button. We can also display legend keys in the data table. Finally, there are font settings for data table, which are pretty standard. And with this, we conclude our tutorial. Thanks for watching. We hope you liked our tutorial. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insightful tutorials and updates.